go ahead with, because we definitely need a Felicia. Alright, we're going to start the discussion, and you have five minutes to discuss, and after we should go to questions, comments, and answers.
Ladies and gentlemen, also before duly observed, my name is Sandy Okeke, a graduating set of LSD 37. Theme today is that women leadership and societal development. As we heard from our key guests today, we heard how far she has done, how far she has involved herself, even locally and internationally, in bringing women to the forefront in leadership and societal development. We once more want us to give her a round of applause for all her efforts and others. So over time in our history, the women have been entrusted with leadership role to manage human and material resources more often than leading to, So over time in history, a few women who have been entrusted with the leading role to manage human and material resources have more often than not proved the same point, that given adequate backing, they can perform credibly. You see our society today, we so managerialize women. You see the field that they want to pass in the House of Assembly, a lot of the male speakers kick against it. You can attest to that. That's why we are in this school, and I want to encourage the incoming students after us. What we've learned here about gender inequality can never leave us, and we will be trying as much as possible anywhere we find ourselves to push for, gender equality. There is a research that was done. You see, women can do as much as men and even better than men. They have the intellectual capacity, they have the toughness, just like men. But you see, a lot of time, marriage and other things try to, pull them back and relegate them to the background. Understand? See, these days, a lot of women, they are breadwinners. They are earning more than their male counterparts. And also want to encourage, she said it, read more. Education of the girl child is very crucial and critical. Understand? So when you educate somebody, you empower that person. So when we educate our girl child, we empower them. When a girl child graduates to be a doctor, to be a managing director somewhere, then they start, she's empowered. You can't look down now, they have a voice. So that's my little take on that. Thank you very much.
I stand on the existing protocols. Actually, from the paper delivered today, the paper itself has thrown up a lot of issues that people want to begin to ask questions as it relates to the place of women in leadership and societal development. Now we've heard all about that, but some of the issues that would want to come up have to do with our cultural values. We are saying that women should be given opportunity. If you are asking that question and we want to have an answer, we need to look at our cultural and religious values, the place of the woman. Of course, Nigeria is a religious society, and we can take the attitude of our attitude towards the men, we can take it back to biblical days. For example, you see, in a family, if you don't have a male child, that means you've not started. And these are issues that need to be addressed very well. And then, of course, we also have to look at it from the other point of view. If we want women to be leaders, what kind of training are we giving to them? For example, you will see that you go to a place and you realize that there are some women, in the way they dress, the way their attitude does not portray people that desire to be given leadership position. So these are critical issues that we need to look at. What is our cultural values? The position of the woman in the society, in a family. For example, I will give you an illustration. If a girl jumps on a table, what will the mother say? He said, don't do that. You are a girl. So it starts from the family. We need to give them the correct psyche, the correct teaching that they can lead in the society.
Thank you. I thank God for the topic of today, honestly. I'm not a fan of Beyonce, but I happen to like one of his songs, Rise Up, and it's for the women. Honestly, I'm so glad that we have women in society that are fighting for the rights of the women. And we women should rise up to this occasion because it's a call to duty for all of us, despite your background, your education, in your own little way, there are roles you can play as a woman for other people's voice to be heard. Today we heard of what to do. How are we going to go about it? Women, like my colleagues have said, have been pushed at the background, even in village meetings. I happen to come from a place where there are some issues women don't discuss. They will tell you women are not to. But there are occasions for masquerades that women are not meant to come out. They say it's for men. And women will be inside the house in fear. And because it's our culture, you have to adapt to it. If not, they will see you as you are trying to overshadow us or something. But for us, like today we've learned of 4 people. We have the Patrick and the Patricia and the elf. Any elf can be that person. What I'm trying to say in essence is I begin to learn that for a woman, there are things you need to do to dress up. It's not about I didn't go to school. No, some of these market women, they are feminists. The way you talk to them when you go to market and their response, you understand. So it's not about I didn't go to school. It's not about I don't have the chance. You have the chance. It's time for us, even in our churches, in the mosque, we need to talk about that. Today's topic, one of my colleagues said, African Patrick, nothing will change me. That's what he told me. One of us told me that. He said, I'm African Patrick, and nothing will change me. And I told him, so you are those ones that will, so I now asked him, so you are those ones that will oppress a woman? He said, no, that he's African man, that nothing will change that one. That's what he told me out there, just after the lecture. That's what he told me. I know, and just come to think of it. We have that African mentality of, no, you are the man, you the woman, go behind. Those things need to stop, honestly, but I know it will take time. It will take time for us to understand the need of women in the society. Even in various homes where there are no mothers, that house is not organized. Go and ask. Ask women that in some homes where the mother is no more, maybe something made her to leave the house. Go and ask the children. They are missing a lot. we need to rise up, like Beyonce said. It's one of my best songs, and now each time I want to be highly lifted in terms of feminism, I listen to that message because it gives me hope. Rise up, rise up. It's your right. Fight for your right. You don't have to allow these men to put us to the background just because of but I'm not saying listen, but I'm not saying you should let us not exceed our bounds, let us not just say because they are giving us the morale to be to know our rights. There should be things that we women should not do in terms of respecting the men. But for me, women is an eye-opener for all of us. We need to rise up, embrace the new trend, and we are good to go. Thank you.
It is said that if you educate a woman, you educate the whole nation. I think as a take home, I think our women should exhibit that attitude of comportment and to attract respect to themselves. Because we've seen women like Golda Meir, the first Prime Minister of Israel, they are doing well, and even the Speaker. So women should be able to attract respect and comport themselves so that they will also attract the corresponding respect from the men folks. Thank you very much.
Please let's put our hands together for all of them. That was wonderful. I know the woman must say we should rise up. Very, very expected. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for comments, questions, and answers. So while throwing our questions to our guest speaker or anybody, even the discussants. So if you have a question, just raise up your hand so that we'll count and we'll take all the questions, then they'll begin to answer. So just raise up your hands and I'll give you a number. Okay? Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Please, hello. If just when I start counting, there's no point raising your hand again. We are going to scatter everybody again. Thank you. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. All right. No question. So they will just take all the questions and we start taking. We'll take all the questions and we'll just answer them once. So just ask your question.
Thank you. Mine is not a question. I noticed that it says comments, questions, and observations. So mine is largely comments, and I also want to. It's more about appreciation. Irenu, thank you very much for your delivery. It's giving me an even deeper appreciation for the kind of background I have. I don't have a typical Nigerian background. I was brought up in a home where boys and girls were, raised equally. And being the first child, it also meant being a girl was different. So it was not largely you're a boy and you're a girl. Yeah, that started coming up when we started getting older, and it did have its drawbacks because you see, when you're raised largely different from most people, it has its own tensions and difficulties. But you've helped me to appreciate my background. Also, I like what you said about feminism. I think I was fortunate to read books by Betty Friedman and German Greer, and they tended to be on the extreme, and after a while it looked like, hey, better drop this feminist thing. And life is basically about a balance. So I really liked your presentation, and I do hope that we can have copies of your presentation. It makes good reading material. And last of all, in your closing, your last slide, I think, you talked about us being able to manage diversity. I think one of the saddest things we're experiencing in Nigeria right now is there's too much polarization. I've had the opportunity of growing up in an academic environment. You meet different kinds of people. I grew up until a point where it took quite a long time. Maybe I was in my late teens before I started asking questions, what part of Nigeria are you from? Those were alien to my upbringing. Then I went to a federal school. I served in a different part of the country. Now everything is boiled down to what do you believe and where are you from, and it's worsened by the fact that you're a woman. So I hope that somehow our leadership training will cover all this, because there's no point saying you're a leader and you cannot work with a diverse number of people, and not one set of the country is responsible for all the great things that we need to make the nation. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much too for your presentation. Please just tell us your name and go straight to your question.
Thank you very much. I'm Kabiru Sayyidi Dakata, and I came from Kano State. I think it's a challenge for all of us, especially for us that are from the northern part of the country. In Kano State, we have more than 600 elective positions, but only being occupied by a woman. But our challenge for us as advocates, while we are finding it difficult for the society to accept women, we are still finding it difficult for the women to prove that they can do it. So how do you think, as advocates, we can penetrate to convince the women to come out and challenge the status quo, to prove that they can do it, not only battling to convince the society to accept them? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Ruki. I'm from Delta State. What I want to comment on this is, if we will be frank and sincere with ourselves, about 80% of us here are men. And there is this inner idea behind every man. There's this ego behind every man that is the leader, that he should be the leader. Now, it has been proven that women are more intelligent than men. Yes. There are studies for it. That women are more intelligent than men. Now, thank you very much. Now, the problem is not giving. Thank you very much. The problem is not giving the women the leadership position. The problem is not giving them the leadership position. The problem is the ability for them to handle it. Because there are stories and there have been situations whereby women have been given leadership position in different political parastatals, and the next thing you will see is maybe they divorce their husband or they do some other things. Now, if as a woman you are your wife and maybe you are the governor of Ekiti State, of Delta State, and I also expect that as you are the governor and my wife, you are to also give me my due respect. No, as the husband. Yes, at home. Yes. So now, but you find out that most times these women, they pluck up and the leadership position given to them, they destroy. So it is the ability for them to control the leadership power given to them Because to be frank and sincere with you, men are always, they are threatening, if I will use that word. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next question.
Okay. My name is Sopodle Chinoso. I actually have a comment and observation, but the second speaker or the second person that asked the question have already spoken to most of my comments. But I will still want to join my voice to his, because empowerment needs background. It needs you to be informed, and you have to know exactly what you stand for before you can even represent. So representing the people as a woman is a good thing. I welcome it, and I know most of us do. But the truth is that we don't have the background. They are not informed, because you can't stand and you won't defend yourself or say things that will hold. That takes me to my observation. When the speakers who just deliberated on the topic women leadership and societal development, when they are talking, most of their comments, it can't stand. The reasons why they are giving women should be empowered or put in leadership position, it will stand. It can easily be blown out like a chaff. So I think if we are to stand and make this work out, we have to be informed. As our presenter mentioned, we have to read before we can write. We have to check our backgrounds and know exactly what we are talking. Because you'll be talking to elites, not just people who don't. You'll be talking to people who will stand to argue. It's a serious matter, and it has been serious ever since. So for you to come and present to us or to say things that will convince us, please, you have to check your background, you have to get informed, and you have to communicate in simple languages. And your examples, it should be something that will be more positive instead of negative. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
I think I was listening to call. Thank you very much, ma'am, for the lecture. My name is Ibrahim. I'm an advocate for the female child getting educated. I'm also an advocate for her having access to leadership, even getting my father's property. I come from the East. I know in Igbo land, you don't allow a woman claim my father's property, but I think I prefer an Igbo woman, or if a father has just daughters, the daughter should inherit the father's property. I'm an advocate for that. But my fear is that feminism is taking a dangerous turn in this country. Right now, you see feminists calling for the abrogation of family. They say if you cannot stay under a man, if you cannot cook, you leave the man. Advocating for single parenthood, you can just you can do copulation with a man, have a child, and then raise the child on your own. Now we know the problems in society that comes from raising a single child, a child from a single parent. We know the issues that come around when a woman is not allowed to have multiple sex partners because she cannot stay under a man. Again, feminism is chipping at our cultural heritage, and the people without culture are lost. Thirdly, it is natural. It is just natural for a man to be head of the home. Why fight it? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I have a few questions to ask. Okay, my name is Amana. I was born in Delta, Brahmin, Nigeria. I was born in Delta, but I'm a Nigerian.
Where are you from?
Okay. My question, ma, is striking the balance between feminism and personal development. And I'm trying to ask if there's a balance between feminism, personal development, and equity for women. My other question is, advocacy on equity has been tied over time in Nigeria, basically to political appointments. You see a few women trying to champion the cause of women, probably because they want to get appointment from government or certain positions for themselves. And over time, such has been the case. My question is, what other paths, do you actually think that people who are deprived over time in other parts of the country, who do not have access to government or positions in the country, what other paths do you think they can take to achieve equality? Okay, my third question is feminism, leadership and abuse. How do you create a balance? What's the balance between feminism, leadership and abuse as it relates to women in society? Again, now, there's this general notion in Nigeria, it's our turn. And I think a lot of women have keyed into this drive and mentality. In the last political dispensation, there was an issue that came up over the appointment of a female minister from a particular state. There was a problem with which state would she represent. And so while some people were saying she should represent the state she is from originally, some people were saying she should represent her husband's state. Now, how do you strike the balance between the place of the deprived woman in relation to the state of origin? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before she asks her question, my name is Caesar from Delta. I'm a Nigerian too.
I stand on the existing protocol. My name is Deborah Apochi from the Nigeria Women Trust Fund. My question is now on feminism, but I have these burning questions anyway. My question is empowering the rural women through agriculture and its effect on the environment. I kept wondering, each time we have programs, we talked about the empowering of women, the rural women, or the education of girl child, because most times, most programs done on the rural area has to do with either education of the girl child or empowering the women through agriculture. So I kept wondering, if we talked about empowering the women on agriculture, that is, we're telling them to shift from the subsistence farming to commercial farming, to be able to commercialize what they produce. How then do we solve the problem of bush burning? Because when you talk about farming, you talked about how you clear bush to give way for farming, and this is affecting the forestry in that area. So how do you manage developing these women as in to grow in agriculture, and how do you manage the environment? That means, how do you develop and at the same time not affecting the environment of that rural area? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number what? Okay. Number 8.
Thank you very much. My name is Idris Musa. I have an NGO background. I tolerate gender equality. I have done work on gender-related issues, tracking the budget meant for women, for the girl child, to remain in school. I would rather have a woman be single than to have a husband that beats her. I abhor any form of violence against the girl child and our mothers and sisters, aunties, and so on. But you see, I'm also I'm actually a minister in the Redeemed Christian Church of the Redeemed Fold. And I know also that Apostle Paul said that when the woman is in church, she should not ask questions, she should keep quiet and go home to ask the husband. Now you see, I have a conflicting position now. I'm a minister in Redeemed Christian Church of God. The dictates of the Bible positions man to be the head of the family. I also have an NGO background that also allows me to tolerate to believe in gender equality. And I remember when you were talking about challenges when you were presenting your paper, you talked about religious fundamentalists. I don't see myself as a religious fundamentalist. Having, practiced both major religions in Nigeria. I was a Muslim before I became a Christian, so I tolerate. Does that make me, if I want to follow the ethics of my religion, does that make me going contrary, or does that put me in the position of a religious fundamentalist? That's my question. Thank you.
Next question.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Favour, I don't know if the word I know. I'm Nigerian. My own comments, and most of the questions I want to ask everybody, some people have asked it here. But I want to say that in as much as we have this inclination and belief and advocacy about gender equality, I think I will want us to try to see how we can look at, start from the foundation. What I mean by foundation is that starting from the family. Because there is no reason for us to be debating or arguing if a woman should be equal to a man or in other things or to be able to occupy a position. But what I want to say or ask is that how can we strike a balance in our campaign or in our approach of elevating or of enlightening a girl child right from the background to become to occupy a position of leadership, and be able to inculcate it in our curriculum in the school by making a woman child as a value and have an orientation right from the home that I am somebody, I am not just a property, I'm not just unequal to another person, I am just value the way I am. How can we strike this balance? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Without apologies, I'll beg to disagree with those who say women have not proven themselves. My name is Chidozie Edokwe. There are a lot of women who have proven themselves. But the thing is, we've not given them the opportunity, to bring out what they have. Even our male folks, when women get to that top leadership positions, most of us will frustrate them. So I disagree with all those who say women have not proven themselves. But then the women too need to believe in themselves also. When I was in school, we usually have this women forum, a week-long talks and trainings and the rest of them. And then I thought to myself, the women go and they learn all these things about home, making a good home, and getting themselves developed and the rest of those. But then the men are left out. The women learn all those beautiful things, but when you go back, you still meet the same man. And so I pushed, together with some of my friends, who were also in the council back in my church in school, and we said we need to also form a men's forum, so that as the women are learning all these things, the men are also learning, so that when you go back home, there's a balance. There's no point women learning and learning and learning. You go back home, the man is still the way he is. He's not going to take all those things that you come back home to start implementing. Then to my question, Mark, I've been thinking ever since the lecture started, how did we get to this point? Somebody said something about family. Is it family background? Is it cultural? Is it a Nigerian thing? Is it a global thing? How did we get to this point? Can we go back to the root and start tackling it from the root? Thank you.
The root,
This is the last 11. After this one, I have my own question.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I stand on all existing protocols. I am Ochumba Kingsley Chinene. It's been a rare privilege for me to have been one of the participants at the St. LSD Leadership School training.
I am a lawyer by profession and training. I'm a bad loser. I hate to fail. Having imbibed so much of the rich teachings, enlightenments as to gender equality, pursuits, now it's more of I'm thinking to myself and I'm trying to reason alongside so many adorable personalities I reserve a unique admiration for. Speaking of our ex-first lady, Dr. himself, and all the notable figures here. This is my top line because I hate to lose. I'm backing a team that believes gender equality. And I feel I, for once, my first girlfriend was my biological mother who taught me never to raise my hand on a woman. So those values are there already. So I wouldn't be a party to individuals who mete out violence on the girl child, woman, and what have you. Now, but because I want us to win, I want to see what the end game is. If I'm backing this cause, there are so many challenges that doesn't assure me of victory in the nearest future, speaking of 100 years coming. And I will state my reasons.
Please state.
Our first lady, the first lady of the Kiddy State, during her lecture, made reference to men of faith. If we should go by global estimations now, we have about 85% of the world being people of faith. Atheists can share whatever remains from them. Now, men of faith in their various scholars believe that women have their place. Gender equality says a man can be a soldier if a woman can be a soldier. I believe that there are unique class of men who held an opinion years back that everything feeling from human, animal, plant is tender, delicate, something that should be shielded, handled with care and so much tenderness. I'm trying to see, I have a female soldier with me in the war front and the bullet hits her boobs, that is the breast region. How do I start touching? Is it from the training? You see, you want to give that respect, but it's life. We have shield. I'm using the soldier aspect too, and I will equally get to the point where, I'm sorry I'm taking a little time, I'll get to the point where you find that the females who were fighting the cause for don't even understand what they're fighting for. The bulletproof the female soldier will use is different. Everything about this adorable doll is different. How then can we pursue that cause? Soldier, or just to prove equality? The men in valor can go to war. The women care for the children. It's just a natural. You find lions in their pride. When the lioness goes on the hunting thing, the reserve becomes the corpse. The men come in when it's a mighty time to be brought down. Can we borrow relief from animals, plants, for crying out loud? The female folks that I'm working out for, a model, a pretty model who is a graduate from various courses, with all the
talking too much.
They end up as the video vixens. Video vixens, one of our popular artists, Two-Face and the rest. Whenever they're shooting these videos, I find my wife figure, I find my adorable ladies who are to be equals, posing with what I call it threads, not clothing, threads. You try to get my point. We are talking of equality now. We're in a swimming pool, your choice attires, the men go on long, you know all those beach attire thing, and we're still talking equality. Is this attainable? Because Kingsley hates to fail. The people I'm packing this course for is they will share the same views. Don't you think the female are too reserved to be matched with risk men can handle, and you're even bringing the female to the floor? It makes me change my mind. And you see, it's coming from an innocent place, and I need to know. Assure me that this is attainable, and I'm with you all the way. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll just take one more question. You didn't raise his hand before.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samuel. I want to buttress on the point the young man that just spoke now.
Say your own.
When I was growing up, we need to understand that beauty is about what you wear, especially for the girls in my own house. But growing up, we discovered women's thinking about beauty is about what they don't wear. I'm sorry I'm using this word. You'd see a woman, a young lady going for a job interview, a one-on-one interview, and she's wearing something very short, believing what you're carrying, your certificate can't speak for you, or what you have here can't speak for you. If this won't go, then this won't go. Like what he said, the young man that is shooting that musical video will be well dressed, bling bling everywhere. But the female folks dancing with him don't put on anything. What are we doing to make the women understand? The women folk understand that what you're wearing, what you cover, is the beauty. Now, this thing here is what will give us the opportunity of handling something to you. It's not about you exposing yourself. Like Erelu said the other time, when the time comes for you to apply for a post or you're vying for a seat, then they go to Instagram and pick up a picture of, this was what you looked like some years ago. So what are we doing to make the women understand that if you have something here, then you can go far? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now my question and my comment. Now they said what the men wear, the woman will not wear enough. I think I beg to differ. Because the Brazilian hair that the woman is wearing is more expensive than the clothes that the man is wearing. And the cost of maintaining a man's head and a woman's head is different. So I don't know how we can manage it. Let's reduce the women's hair. So that
Thank you very much. Now these are so many questions, a lot. I'm not going to be the only one to answer the questions. I think everyone here and our discussants who have very kindly shared their thoughts with us will also chip in. I will try my best at the risk of giving another lecture. So I will try and speak for a couple of minutes to try and get through them so that another group of people can ask questions if there is enough time. The gentleman from Kano who raised the question about the fact that his state and his community is not necessarily an enabling environment for women to participate in politics. He acknowledges that, but that even the women themselves are reluctant to come out. And my response to that is it's not surprising that the women are reluctant to come out, considering the context within which they have to operate. Even in places where there are not that many cultural and religious restrictions, it's difficult for women to make any headway in politics, not to talk about a place where, you know, before you walk from your house down the road, if you are not built appropriately, even the dogs will start barking at you, not to talk of other people in the community.
So there are a couple of ways in which you can get around that, because it is not enough of an excuse to say women are not putting themselves forward, because these same women who are not putting themselves forward are the ones who queue for long hours in the hot sun to register. They queue for long hours in the sun to vote. So if they can do that, then that means they are prepared to put themselves forward because they know what is right for them in their community. That is why we are insisting that we need to have affirmative action and quotas. And the way it works is any of the political parties, whether you are PDP or APC or APCN or Panadol or Labour or by force, whatever party you call yourselves, you dedicate if that, and the political parties or the electoral bodies will then need to determine which of these seats are we going to make available as seats to be contested by women or seats to be contested by the disabled. In a place like Uganda, for example, the constitution and Kenya, the constitution makes allowances for women, for the disabled, and for youth. And then that does not preclude them from contesting for elections on any other platform, but at least they know that in this particular district there are going to be seats available for women to contest. So that would be one way of encouraging women. But please don't give up the good work, because there's nothing religious about women not wanting to put themselves forward. It's not a religious issue holding us back in Nigeria. It's more cultural or interpretations of our culture and religion. If we could have a woman as president of an Islamic state like Pakistan, there is no reason why we can't have a woman as president from any part of Nigeria. And Nigeria, to the best of our knowledge, is not an Islamic state. It's not a Christian one either, it's a secular state. Okay. The gentleman from Delta who raised questions about men believing that they are natural leaders, I would like to applaud you for your honesty. At least you were honest about your inclinations towards being a Patrick. Hopefully you will not remain a Patrick. You were just raising concerns about people who were raised as Patricks, such as yourself, and a couple of other Patricks spoke as well, but hopefully you will shift from being a Patrick to a Frederick. Now, you said women are more intelligent than men, and these are some of the stereotypes that get us into trouble, because we're always to believe that men are more intelligent than women. And they told us that that is why men are the head of the family. And now people are coming to say it is women who are more intelligent than men. No gender is more intelligent than the other. We are all created equal. Having said that, we all go through certain experiences that enable us survive our journeys through life. Men are raised to believe that they are natural leaders. They are raised with a sense of entitlement. You all remember the rich man from the eastern part of the country, I won't mention his name, who had 6 daughters before he eventually had a son. And they wanted to see if the son would survive. So on his first birthday, he bought a Rolls Royce for his son as his birthday present and put him on the road. And photographs were taken in ovation. You missed that? Go and Google it. I can whisper the name to you when we have a break. Who remembers that? Very famous rich Igbo man in this country. His 7th child was male. And then to celebrate the fact that he has a son at last, he bought a Rolls Royce for his son, put the little baby, the 1-year-old is still a baby, put him on the Rolls Royce, and then he threw a big party for all and sundry. His son has arrived at last. His hair has arrived at last. Now you tell me, how do you expect his sisters to feel going through life? Because he definitely would love his daughters, but all the 6 daughters combined were not worth a Rolls Royce. But this 1-year-old son was. So of course he's going to go through life with a sense of entitlement. And then the 6 daughters are going to have to learn skills that are different from his. They're going to learn the skills of negotiation with their father and later their husbands. They're going to learn the skills of manipulation. They're going to learn skills of discretion. They are going to learn the skills that can get them whatever they want. And that is why eventually men then turn around and say things as if these men are smart. You see, when men, now let me ask a question because I need to get to know you better as well. How many of you here are married? Put up those hands properly. Okay, now for the men, let me see the men who are married. Put up your hands. Okay, so there are more unmarried men here. Some of you are still not married. Okay, now let me tell you something I learned from observing my own parents. Not to talk about own marriage. And I've been married now for 26 years. This year is going to be 27 years. When men keep on the head of the family, we women, we don't argue. We don't argue, we just look at you and we say yes, we thank God. But you, those of you who are already married, think about who makes the decisions in your home, about who does what, about where your children go to school, about what you eat, about where you live. So if you want to argue about being the head of the family, I wrote an essay when I was first lady, when I got tired of bashing first ladies about, first ladies being unconstitutional, being irrelevant and so on. So one day I decided, let me just write something. So I wrote something on the first lady debate. You can Google it, it's online, or it's an essay in one of my books there. You can argue from now to kingdom come about the constitutionality of first ladies. Now, Oga is a minister. If you have been trying to reach him for 3 months and he won't return your call, this is unconstitutional thing here. I can arrange it for you to have breakfast for him the next morning. And you'll be blowing big grammar online or in papers about unconstitutionality. Sit down here. What is my point? My point in all this is relationships are complex. And our movements recognize that. So what we are saying is we do not want women to make men feel that they're insignificant or unimportant. And we don't want men to continue to have a sense of entitlement. We want men and women to live together with respect, with mutual respect, and with trust, and with a commitment that they're going to do the best they can for their marriage, for their family, and for the community at large. When one side feels that they're being cheated or being treated unfairly, that is where you have strife. And that strife is going to continue as long as they continue to cheat women. It's not going to, some women might be subversive about it. Now, it is better for us to have this conversation in public so that we can find ways around them, rather than continuing that everything is okay. Everything is not okay. Otherwise, you have a Mama Uche situation. I don't know if you've heard the story of Mama Uche. It's some kind of fable, but it's located in reality. It's a cautionary tale. Mama Uche, Baba Uche was fond of calling Mama Uche an idiot, a foolish woman, a woman who didn't know anything, and she would sit there and she would take it, year in, year out. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years of marriage, Mama Uche was foolish, she was stupid. Then one day there was a family ceremony and they were killing a cow. Mama Uche was sharpening the knife or the small machete to be able to cut the meat into pieces. Then Mama Uche comes again. You this foolish woman, the guys are waiting. You haven't done this. You stupid woman, you are good for nothing. I should have sent it back years ago. Mama Uche was sharpening her cutlass for the meat that she was going to cut. All of a sudden, people were like, yay! Mama Uche had slashed Baba Uche's neck with the cutlass. Why? Mama Uche lost it. She had had enough. So, do we want a Mama Uche situation? Okay. So let us continue to talk about these things. So men and women should be able to live together in respect. The gentleman who talked about feminists are calling for the abrogation of the family. I don't know which feminists they are talking to. Did we not look at some myths about feminism? Yes, we know we have some women who have a whole lot of issues with male power and control. For all women I know, the way they react to it might be different. By and large, what we are saying is we cannot continue to have relationships whereby one party is made to feel that she is a slave. It cannot work. That is the Mama Uche situation, and women I think they don't want it. And as we are having that discussion, you talk about chipping away our cultural values. One of the key principles of African feminist theory is this whole notion, is the whole issue of renegotiating African identities within the context of what we understand to be our cultural norms and values. And what that means is, as an African woman, as a Nigerian, as a Yoruba woman, I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of my language, my culture, the way we respect elders, the way we build communities. I don't ever want to give any of that up. But if being a good Yoruba woman or a good Nigerian woman means that I must keep quiet about abuse, if it means that I must be silent in the face of oppression, then I do not want that. That is what it means. So if there are women like myself or others who are saying, we do not want to be beaten, we don't want to be excluded, that is a legitimate issue for us to raise. And if we feel that means that we are trying to involve our culture and our values, then that culture and those cultural values need to be reviewed.
There has never been any law or any restriction to how far a woman can go. And let us borrow a leaf from the message of late fella Kuti. He said, you can't dash me my human right. Coming up to ask for what belongs to you is like repeating the obvious. So let us, the women, begin to drive towards the goal. That's my message, because I for one, I learned to respect the power of a woman as a student, an undergraduate. The short story that I made a payment to occupy a boys' quarter for one of the lecturers' quarters, and then it happened that the son, who I was very sure that is the bona fide owner of the property, the father has been living abroad, decided to took me. He gave it to some other people, and then I tried to find out what to do. A second-year student in a school where the man has left, he has graduated for years and is occupying his father's property. He rolls around the town. And I made inquiry, they said the DPO is his friend. He is one of the chief of the court people, and all over the place. Let me tell you how it happened. His classmate was a lady, and a beautiful lady for that matter. And then one of my folks, or one of my friends, got me to the brother of the classmate, and we all arranged. We went out with about 4 cars, boys, and then all parked outside. It was only the lady that went in. And the lady went in, harassed him, insulted him, and walked away. And we all went back home. This guy came to where I was staying with my friends in the night, apologized, and that was the room I occupied till I left the school. I did not pay any extra money for that year, and I continued paying my rent. He was my friend. So since then, I decided to respect the power of a woman. And one time I went for a lecture that I was in a seminar where late Myers Bureau came around, I bought one of his books for my wife, The Power of a Woman. I won't tell you what happened because most of the time what I suffered were the negative aspects of what was in that book, The Power of a Woman. I never had the good stories about the power of a woman. So I would like us to know that it's all in our hands. Let us emulate the corporate world. How does it happen? When a woman's CV is on the table and a man's CV is on the table, there is no Brazilian hair distinguishing the two. And that is why you hear of women CEO, women entrepreneurs, and so on. Here in this class, we were given opportunity to ask questions, and I observed that I had only a lady's voice out of 11 or so. I mean, where are we? So we must know that nobody is excluding us. We must include ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, another round of applause for all our members of the high table. Thank you very much. The women are very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. If you are a man and you think the woman is not powerful, wait until your wife gets belly. You know what I'm talking about. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, while the discussion was going on, I don't know how to call him now. Sir, I'm not your new son. Before you came, mommy adopted me. So now that you are here, it's good that you know. My father, please a round of applause for Dr. Kayode Fayomi, the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals. Mama clap, boy. Keep clapping, keep clapping. Please, it's okay. I'm supposed to call him out to give his good message, but I will go to him and please, cameraman, come close. You know how we do it, you understand? Now my mommy is here, my dad is here. I'm going to be in the middle. You understand? So it's like a family picture. So the ones, maybe I say my uncles and my aunts they show. Now they don't stand up. No, don't stand up there. Be looking at the camera. I write the mic. Please make sure that they get the picture that they show it to my brothers and my sisters. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for our Honorable Minister as he gives us a good message.
Thank you, adopted son.
Okay.
Well, the chairman of this event, my lost but found brother, Mike Guinea, and the guest speaker, my darling wife, my sister. Also, I have a lost but found sister here, the former permanent secretary. And also the pastor and Pastor Mrs. Iguzo, and the other colleagues on the high table. This business of high table, I always have an issue with it. But the most important people here, the graduates of the Leadership Center. It's a pleasure and a delight for me to be here this afternoon. I ought to have been part of this process right from morning, but I was otherwise engaged and had informed the organizers that I would not be here till around about 1 o'clock. For me, leadership defines everything. And we all know that leadership is one factor that everybody refers to as being responsible for whatever challenges we're experiencing as a country. Yet leaders are not magicians. They're not born. Leaders are made. And that is why this experience you are undergoing is an extremely important one. At the last count, I'm told almost 500 people have gone through this if we add the current set. And that is an extremely important development. I am a student of leadership myself, and one is always learning. Some of those references from Dr. Ejiro Tibeguzo really resonated strongly with me, because I must confess I haven't quite interpreted those sections of the Bible the way she did, particularly about women and inheritance. And I am going to have to revisit my Bible to reread the gender dimensions of this debate, utilizing the Bible as a theoretical tool for that exercise. I live day in, day out with a gender activist, so these debates are debates I'm very familiar with. Even if I want to be reactionary, even if I choose to be totally anti-women, I am not allowed to. You understand? But you don't empathize with me. I actually wouldn't have it any other way, because it's an experience that has greatly enriched my life. I was on a flight to Abuja this afternoon, and a woman sat beside me on the flight. And I opened the page of my newspaper. I didn't even know that my wife had granted an interview to one of the prominent newspapers. I think it's The Guardian today. So I opened and I was reading, and the woman who sat beside me, I don't know her, said to me, "Are you not firing?" I said, "Yes, that's my name." He said, "This firing, is she your wife?" I said, I think so, but I haven't read the interview. She said, "You know, you must be a very lucky man. People know you. People know you, but more often than not, I think they use your wife to introduce you. So because she's more popular than I am." And the lesson really to draw for us as younger people looking up to the future is that we all must choose carefully. We must not choose on the basis of opportunism. We must not choose because we think this person is not at my level, however you define that level. It's always good to choose with somebody you can struggle with, lead your life with, share the tough times with, confront the challenges of the world with, and then whatever successes you achieve, you also can tell the stories together. That in itself is a leadership model that is extremely important if one wants to be a leader. And I don't equate leadership in the sense I'm talking about with office or position. I'm talking about leadership within the family construct. Because leadership is not position. Leadership is not office. Leadership is not title. Oh, Your Excellency, Honorable Minister. It's 419. Don't believe it when they tell you that. Because the minute you step down from that position, the same person will say, yeah, person. Anyway, what did I get from him? But what is more important is being able to live your life without office. Being able to be yourself without the title and the position. I recall a few friends after I left office. In fact, before I left office, let me go back. After June 21, 2014, who can tell me what happened on June 21st, 2014 here? The election in Ekiti. Well, very smart people, you've been following development. You know, on the morning of June 22nd, I made a statement that became very popular in the country, where I said, if indeed this is the will of the Ekiti people, I accept it. Because for me, it wasn't about all of what transpired. It was about actually leading a life of dignity. I could do otherwise. I had the paraphernalia of office. I had the forces at my disposal, at least the local forces, if not the federal forces. And we could have created enough bloodbath to render the state completely destroyed. And nothing would have touched me as governor. Nothing would have touched my wife. But a lot of innocent souls would have been consumed and perished by the experience. And for me, I refuse to be a leader who, on whose account, lives will be lost. Because a lot of people came to me, my party leader, how could you make such a statement? We did not lose, they stole the election. Said, it's okay. If that's what happened, that story will also come out one day in this same country. So, what I mean in essence is that leadership is a huge sacrifice. And when you are in the position, you are always going to have all manner of advice from people whose primary interest is not necessarily the people. That sacrifice of choosing to stand alone, even when the multitude goes against you, is the hallmark of leadership. And I hope as you graduate from this training program, you will see yourselves as exemplars. Exemplars for truth, exemplars for duty, exemplars for sacrifice. Because we are all leaders. As I said, leadership is not title. Leadership is not position. You are a leader in your neighborhood association. You are a leader in your church society. You are a leader in your town's union. You are a leader in your community development association. It is not when you are honorable minister, which is a misnomer, by the way. I don't know where people who have not been elected into a parliament before they are named ministers are called honorable ministers. But you know, in Nigeria, we engage in a lot of mismatch. The places where you have honorable ministers are parliamentary systems. When you have parliamentary systems, you get elected first into a parliament. And when you are elected into a parliament, the prime minister, who is also elected into the same parliament, then decides to choose you as a minister for a particular portfolio, you are a honorable minister. Then in Nigeria, ministers are appointed, they're not elected. So they're in a cabinet. They are not, I'm not saying they're not honorable, don't get me wrong, but that appellation, that penchant for title that we suffer from is what has translated into honorable minister. You will never get a letter from me or a complimentary card from me that reads honorable minister. Anybody who writes it in my office knows that they are fired on the spot. So they don't even write it again in my ministry. You come to my ministry, nobody uses the term honorable minister. They only use it when I go to other places because they know that I do not accept it. Just like I was simply Mr. Governor when I was in office, not executive governor. How do you have an executive governor? Is that English language? No, ask yourself, is it English language, executive governor? The executive powers of a governor are already embedded in his being governor. But we have a problem that we need to address fundamentally, and it's a problem we need to really deal with in order to deal with all of these other challenges of leadership. Because if you see leadership as title, then it is important for you to be called executive governor. And if they don't call you executive governor, you start fighting. You will not even answer. You will ignore them. As if that is what you are made of. But then again, you can't put something on nothing. If you are nothing, title is important to you. But if you are somebody in your own right, title does not define you. So I want to congratulate you. I wasn't there, but I can assure you that I could almost, if you ask me, I could almost give you verbatim my wife's presentation, even though I wasn't there. But you came to that. So I don't keep you waiting. I will just congratulate you and congratulate the center and my brother and sister for this excellent outing. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, my new father. You see, you know, we are some of us are so love title to the extent that in a state, we had an event in a state and somebody gave us his card. The card said the executive brother of the governor. So even if you don't want to be executive, I'm your executive son. Alright. Give another round of applause for Minister for Solid Mineral. I will move the honorable now, so that I don't get fired as a son. We learn every day.
Yes, sir.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on with the program, and it's time for valedictory speech. And we are going to be calling on the governor of the set. Sorry, are you the executive governor or just governor? Talk now, not be saying minister there, you won't come from executive. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's put our hands together for Abese Afon. I'm also interested to know that she has commissioners and project people. Please do another round of applause for her. I would have stand here, but the company has said your ADC, so I need to go.
I can't adopt you. Okay. The debate about whether leaders are born or made has been an ongoing debate. And you will agree with me that it's a debate that has to be taken up by more qualified minds than mine, as you could begin to appreciate already. Thank you, Dr. Timebi Koripamo Agari. She started on that note. And thank you to the Minister of Solid Minerals. My conviction, of course, I concede that every one of us has the capacity, of course, no, the duty to show leadership at one point or another, if not at all the time, at least sometimes. And indeed, several prominent leadership figures of the modern world, such as Abraham Lincoln, William Churchill, and our own very Nelson Mandela, are renowned for merely a handful of timely acts of leadership. One of my departing convictions, having been through this program, and I believe I speak for my comrades, the graduates for today, is that we need to redefine leadership less as represented by the mythical, deified personalities we have been taught to believe, and more as that innate human capacity to serve and be selfless, which we are all able to, and of course obliged to exercise, whether of course all the time or some of the times, as I have mentioned. And hopefully, yes, I would say, at the most important times. Your Excellency, the Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, we are honored to have you here today, sir. The Director Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development, Dr. Otive Buzo. The Chairman of this occasion, Barrister Mike Igini. The guest speaker, BC Adele Fayemi. Ma'am, I learned a lot from your speech today, and I would say I'll be following up to learn more, have questions to ask and get more clarifications. My comrades, Class 7 graduates, the matriculating students for today, ladies and gentlemen, of course, distinguished invited guests. I'm honored to stand before you as the governor of Class 7 Center LSD. I was elected governor of this class on the first day of class, that was on May 16, 2015, and I'm glad to inform you all that this was not affirmative action alone, but it was also real contest. Our government emerged by a free and fair election, a fierce contest, but one without any conflict. I have wondered whether it would be, what it would be like if all elections on our continent, of course, are characterized by the sincerity of purpose and sense of sportsmanship as exhibited by members of my class. Okay. I remember being in this very hall last year at about this same time for our own matriculation. Then 1 year seemed so far away. But once we started class, as you have heard Dr. Ibuzo mention, the Saturdays came so quickly and the months flew by as if they had wings. And of course, this school has graduated many great leaders over the past years, and I would like to believe that my colleagues and I are poised to be added to this count in the nearest future as we strive to apply the many, many things we have learned in the course of this program. In my opinion, what is happening at Center LSD is transformational, as those of us passing out today are leaving the program with the conviction that we can all show leadership in our various spaces, and that every act or instance of leadership matters, regardless of the scale, location, or popularity. I especially like the American expression, show leadership, in that it deviates from the notion of leadership as the sole preserve of mythical deified individuals and places it within the reach of each and every one of us. We all can and should show leadership whatever opportunities we get, no matter how small. For my graduating colleagues, I'd like to commend you all in no small measure for your resilience in combining this program with the many rigors of your daily lives and seeing it through, but most especially for helping me gain practical experience and deeper understanding of the issues of leadership, team building, collaboration, and inclusive governance. Something that I dare say the larger society will do well to imbibe. I feel proud of my achievements in this program, particularly because of you. I am of course a beneficiary of many good things, and now I'm pleased to add the privilege to have been a member of this leadership class along with you to that list. And it was particularly special for me since I had never heard of this center before. I was of course recommended by someone who had followed my activities on the virtual platforms. And of course, he felt like my leadership skills would be ironed if I attended the class. My perception, of course, as a thought of leadership has widened and improved greatly ever since my attending this class. For the new people coming in today, my advice to you is to fasten your seatbelts because you are about to embark on a journey to discover that leadership is far from bossing people around or about mythical persons, as I've mentioned before, or about popularity or titles, as our very own minister mentioned. And it's all more about influence, impact, and ultimately service. You will discover that while there may be some who are seemingly born leaders, a good number of the celebrated leaders of all times were men and women of like passions who applied the things that you are soon going to learn, amassed considerable influence in their circles and applied it to the service of all humanity. For our distinguished guests, permit me to share with you in a few minutes a bit of my experience during the past 1 year by the high point. One of the high points was obviously the election and formation of a class governance structure. Our greatest achievement in this regard was the formation of an inclusive and decentralized government headed by myself, with some of the runners-up holding key portfolios as commissioners. This, as I later understood, was in sharp contrast to the winner-takes-it-all structure which placed undue burden on the leadership of past classes, which of course impacted teamwork and collaboration. Please join me to appreciate outstanding members, the Fredericks and Fredericas of our class. Chidozie Edope, who served as our Commissioner for Special Projects. He was ably assisted by Idris Musa. Doshima Ortega served as the Commissioner for Funds. She was, of course, assisted by Bimpe Adebimpe. Chioma Ogu served as the Commissioner for Entertainment. Please, you can do well to give them a round of applause. Thank you. Barrister M.M. Udo served as Commissioner for Health. Joseph Sehemba was our Commissioner for Discipline. And of course, my able deputy was Linus Orefuna. These guys have all been outstanding, and of course, Center LSD can rightly expect great things from this class. Compassion is one of the traits of a good leader. In line with this, and as part of our community outreach, the leadership of the class arranged and made a visit to the Durumi Area 1 IDP camp, which has over 2,000 people, including children. I'd like to employ everyone here to find time to also visit these camps to identify with their needs and show leadership. Let me also say that my election, as elating as it was, also elicited some concern on my own part about my acceptability among my male colleagues and contestants. It was therefore very gratifying to find that we were able to carry out our governmental and learning activities without obvious misgivings from my male colleagues. I think we should give them a round of applause. This, of course, is an indication of true leadership and sportsmanship. I commend you all. You're welcome. Despite all the successes that we recorded, there were a few challenges and things I would do better given another chance, and permit me to mention them here. Good as it was, the IDP community visit recorded poor turnout of class members, and this was due largely to planning and logistical inadequacies on the part of my government. Something I would do definitely better next time. We ought to have given more time to planning and preparation. And although about 60 students enrolled under our leadership for the class, we are pained to be graduating only 40 out of that great number. And my government would like to take some responsibility for this failure. Perhaps a more cohesive and supportive team may have helped individuals pull through it in times of conflict and distractions. My successors will do well to take note of this. I cannot round off this speech without giving full credit to the following people: the management and staff of Center LSD, members of the Board of Trustees, the sponsors and partners, Conrad Adenauer Foundation, my indefatigable cabinet members and colleagues. Thank you all so very much. A round of applause for you, friends. Thank you. And finally, here is my 2-kobo word thought on how to begin to transform leadership in Nigeria. Our role as leaders passing out of this school